What is going on, y'all? It's your man Mike Titan here with my co-host Mr. Bryan Greer, and today, sad day, but we have the Game 5 recap for the Mavericks and Houston Rockets. Game 5, as in Game 4, as y'all saw in our last video, and if you watched the game, they pushed the game to a Game 5, staving off elimination for one more game. You know, unfortunately, the same outcome didn't come to this game, but I know we're all sad about that. But how you doing today, Bryan?
No, I'm doing better than Rick Carlisle's wallet because I'm pretty sure after Game 5, he has a few more things he wants to say to add on to that $25,000 fine he got for Game 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
but give it to the cause of the NBA Association, or that's the Basketball Association. Sorry, Mr. Adam Silver, please don't find me for messing that up. So let's go ahead and get into this before I get fined. Game 5, unfortunately for your Dallas Mavericks, they lost and are now eliminated from the playoffs, losing to the Rockets 103-94. This game was basically came down to shooting, which the Mavericks only shot 38% and just couldn't throw the ball in the ocean in the first quarter. Once again, they came out sleepwalking. The Rockets came out with a 34-22 lead after the first quarter. Once again, James Harden was just going off, and now Josh Smith got in the act in the first quarter, hitting jumpers and going back to the yellow threes that he was hitting during Game 3. I thought that was Larry Bird out there for him, the way he was hitting threes.
Yeah.
I didn't because if he was back with the Hawks, he was not really known to hit threes. But all of a sudden in this series, he's a sharpshooter. So I don't know what happened, but it was just a lot of threes that they were making. It just, Mavericks are very porous on defense. Dirk couldn't, buy him a shot. And Monte Ellis did have 10 points in the first half, I believe, actually the first quarter, and was really active to keep them in there. But I know you want to talk about the turnovers that the Houston Rockets had that really did, keep them from really getting a big lead as far as a really insurmountable lead, because I think that was something that could have happened.
Yeah, exactly. The Houston Rockets had 15 turnovers in the first half. That pretty much what kept the Mavericks in the game was them just getting turnovers from bad passes, Harden or somebody else trying to drive and then throw it down low to Dwight, and he fumbles it and the Mavericks come up when it go on a fast break. But yeah, the first quarter was pretty much all Houston Rockets. At first, at the beginning of the game, they were kind of going back and forth. Then the Rockets went on like a little 8-0, 6-0 run, something like that, and built the lead up to about a 7-8 point lead, something along those lines. But yeah, Dirk was somewhere in Greenland for this game. Now, you may be wondering, why did I say Greenland? For y'all that don't know, Greenland is actually the frozen tundra. Iceland is actually a Greenland. I have no idea why they're named like that, but if you got that reference, then kudos to you. But yeah, Dirk was just somewhere over there. He just could not buy a basket. He was getting the shot looks. He was wide open. He was trailing for threes, doing his Dirk work in the post, doing spin around jump shots, but his shot was just not falling in the first quarter, and the Rockets took advantage of that. For some reason, Josh Smith went back to his rookie in the first couple of years at Atlanta. He's actually making shots, contributing. I believe he had 20 points off the bench. He, as much as I hate to say it, and I hope this doesn't continue, is actually becoming a very integral third piece for them coming off the bench. Now,
yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, imagine Josh Smith actually being good for once, but crazier things
happen.
Yeah, miracles do happen. That, and then also another thing, Houston went 3 of 12 from the free throw line in the first half. That's also another thing that kept the Mavs in it, was free throw shooting. I want to say they were maybe 11 for 20 something in the first half, something like that. They got to the free throw line and they made their free throws, and they were capitalizing off of Houston's turnover. That's what's kept them in the game. But as we both know, and y'all know now, the second half was a whole different story.
Yeah, it was. The second half, the Mavericks really got back into the game, and their shooting didn't get any better now, but they did cause some more turnovers and really kept it close, get to the free throw line. They did try hacking Howard, but that kind of backfired because Howard did at least make 1 or 2 each time, which trading points for bad shots that the Mavericks weren't making. That was a no-go, and they ended the game shooting 5 for 26 from the three-point line. I'm not no math major, but that's definitely not a good percentage, and they're not going to win in doing that.
No, not at all. Yeah, like you said, the hack of Dwight Howard didn't really go their favor. You trade 1 point for a possession, then you go down and you miss a shot, and you just keep going back. Those 1 points start to add up over a while. For some reason, I don't know what the Mavs were drinking. They must have been drinking the water that Houston had in the first half, but the Mavs would just turn the ball over at an alarming rate in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Monte Ellis had 3 turnovers like in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Just the first 5 minutes, just bad passing, and then everybody was just turning the ball over, and Houston was capitalizing on it. And then Houston actually started making their free throws in the second half, so that didn't help the Mavs. And Dirk didn't really get cold, didn't really heat up to like the fourth quarter when they were playing catch up ball, so they had to rely on him to score his points. And then towards the end of the game, Monte got a little knee injury, came out for a couple of minutes, came back in. You could tell the injury was affecting him a little bit because you can tell he didn't have the same lift in his jump shots or explosiveness getting to the basket as he did before he injured his knee.
Yeah, that was when he planted his foot down, and I think, like you said, he just twisted his knee a little bit, and then he was just, no good at the end of the game by then because, his mobility was limited, and, Dwight Howard putbacks, at the end of the game were just killing them. He ended the game with 18 points, 19 rebounds, again, a monster in the paint and block. I think he also had 3 block shots in the game.
4.
Could have had a lot more. Oh, 4, yeah. Thank you, sir. Because the Mavericks were definitely not going down low. They were just willing to just take bad 3-point shots all game, as you see by them shooting 5 for 26. And this game was for the taking though, because in the fourth quarter the Rockets only scored 21 points. So I don't know if the Mavericks just were sleepwalking or whatever, because they really had this game if they had a little bit more composure and stop turning over the ball. Because Devin Harris, he was also a turnover machine in this game. Just really bad shots and just really bad decisions. I'm still a loss for words for him, because he was supposed to be a really big part off the bench for the Mavericks, but that was just definitely not happening this game.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't have the best game either. And pretty much what had the nail in the coffin was when Aminu fouled out on James Harden. Once that happened, it kind of sunk in my mind. I was like, all right, well, this game is pretty much over. Now they have nobody to guard Harden. At this point, they still actually had a small chance to come back, but then a couple of plays in a row that ended up with the Rockets gave them like a 8-9-point lead, just pretty much put it out of perspective. And once the time started winding down, you could pretty much tell that the game was over with. But I would say the Rockets played a fair game this series. I will say they did get a lot of whatever you want to call it, help from the refs. It's astounding. I believe they still averaged, I think the whole series they averaged about 35 to 40 free throws per game. That's per game.
Incredible.
So I don't know. I didn't
know we were playing in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know, we were, just the smallest tap. We're just going to call a foul. But, it was just a shame that it took the Mavs to game 4 to actually start turning it on and playing the way that they were supposed to be playing, and then have to come out and, try to come back in game 5. It was a very slim shot, but, as a Mavs fan, I always have faith in my teams, even when I know they're not going to win or don't think they're going to win. But overall, I would say the Mavericks had a pretty good season, given that they didn't have Chandler Parsons, their big free agent acquisition, who I don't think he would have changed the series that much, but I think that would have gave them another option in scoring. Instead of having Monte or Dirk, they would have gave them somebody else who can create their own shot and put up points. So you never know. His little extra, maybe 10, 15 points, may have gave them some wins in game 1 or 2. And also the debacle that was a Rondo trade. That silent tension or whatever that was building, through the whole year. There are teams there are teams who probably wouldn't even have made the playoffs after that trade, with the way that the Rondo was affecting the team, and who wouldn't even have been in as close as the games that he played in the first 2 games than they Mavericks were. So, like I said, I give a huge credit to Cuban, Carlisle, the whole coaching staff for handling those issues, and we'll just have to see what happens with them next season.
Yeah, the Mavericks only have 3 players on a contract next year, I believe. Dirk, Chandler Parsons, and Devin Harris. So this will be the
third
same as last year, third or fourth time, since they won the title in 2011, that they'll have a whole new roster, pretty much going into next year. And I'm hoping that the Mavs actually, get some versatility as far as going to the basket, because they have way too many jump shooters. And this team only has really two defenders, in Tyson Chandler and, Al-Farouq Aminu. Besides that they are very, just average and mediocre on defense, because they can't stop anybody from scoring. The Rockets were able just to go to, basket at will. When Jason Terry's making layups on you, got issues, because, he is definitely not a player that could do that. So they really got some issues, that they're going to have to fix this offseason to really make some tough decisions, because I think it's automatically and absolutely necessary to re-sign Al-Farouq Aminu, because he's shown this series that he is a player that can play both ends of the court and really get it done. And you can put him on anybody from the 1 to the 4 position. I think you're going to be in good hands.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I would say that Aminu should be your first person that you sign after the season, or whenever they're able to start re-signing people. I would hope, me personally, that they bring back Aminu, Tyson Chandler, JJ Barea, and Amari Stoudemire. Now, as we all know, Amari is nothing like he was back in Phoenix. He's not going to get you a double-double every game. He can get you a double-double some games, but he's not going to get you 20 and 10 every night. What he brings a enforcer, power presence in the game and in the paint. Not necessarily somebody who's going to go out there and block 5 shots a game, but it's somebody who's going to go down there, bang down low, get in people's faces, not going to back down from anybody. And on a good night, he can get you 14 and 7, 14 and 8, 15 points, somewhere around that line. That's just something that the Mavs need coming off the bench. Just somebody who's going to have that toughness, that grittiness to be like, this is my paint, this is my court. You're not going to just come in here and do whatever you want. But that's who I think that they should try to re-sign. Also, and I've had somebody throw this idea to me, it may be time, now bear with me when I say this, it may be time for the Mavericks to suck for a couple of seasons. Main reason I'm saying that is Dirk's at the end of his leg. This next season will probably be his last season if he doesn't retire this season. After Dirk, all you're gonna have is Parsons and whoever you put around him. I would say it would probably be best for the Mavericks that if they, go below 500, try and get the lottery a couple of times, and like I said, this probably won't happen, but try and draft their next star. Because if you look at,
it's been a long time since they tried to get anybody to the draft,
and I would say the only reason that they haven't done that is because they had Dirk to hold on to. But after Dirk, you're not going to have nobody but Parsons, and he's only going to be here after this season another 2 years, because I think he signed a 3-year deal. So depending on how that worked out, he may leave and go somewhere else. So I think that they definitely need to either try and stock up on draft picks, or just the next couple of seasons just draft somebody. Because I've told people this, I really hope, even though this probably isn't going to happen, because I don't think he'll be there when the Mavs pick this season, I would love for Frank Kaminsky from Wisconsin to come to the Mavericks. I feel like he would be a perfect, a big man. I feel like he'd be a perfect successor to Dirk. You could draft him. He has fundamental basketballs, meaning that he's not somebody who's going to go down there and dunk in the paint, or do 360 alley-oops and stuff like that. But he's somebody who has fundamentals very close to Dirk. He can shoot the mid-range, he can rebound, he can score down low. Not the biggest defensive threat, but he's almost 7 foot, and that's good enough on defense just to get in people's way. So that's what I said. I would love for him to come to the Mavericks. I highly doubt that, seeing them. They'll probably have a early 20s pick, maybe late teens, depending on how the draft seedings go. But I think it's that time for the Mavericks to just go ahead and start rebuilding through the draft. Draft them maybe 2 or 3 players that they can build a new team around, and maybe in 2015, maybe in 2018, 2017, started making another run at the title.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that up, because this team is not winning a title. Let's be honest here. You've got the Golden State Warriors, who are very young. You've got the Bulls out there. Of course, you've got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got teams that have built through the draft for years and now are ready to stay up there at the top for a while. And the Mavericks are an older team. And their only young player out there that they have under contract, like you said, is Chandler Parsons. So I really want this team to start, looking at the draft. Stop trying to, always throw a Hail Mary out there to get, Darren Williams, Dwight Howard, LeBron James at one point, who we all know who wasn't coming to Dallas. And,
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony, good. Thank God they didn't get him because it was like his back's about to fall off.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just one of those things where I think it's time for the Mavericks to really, take a hard look at themselves and understand that they have to start building a team from, the draft and within, because all the teams that are, contending for titles have players they drafted. These are not guys that got through free agency, because you do not see players, just moving from team to team a lot and taking less money. Mm-hmm. So, I'm fully there with you, because Dirk, I think it's also time to look at Dirk being a sixth man, because on the defensive end, he is a huge liability now. Mm-hmm. He is not even marginal on defense anymore, because if you saw this series, Josh Smith and Dwight Howard having their way with him. Yeah. And it's just time to do that. You've got to look at the franchise. I know Dirk is easily the greatest player in the franchise history, but it is time to look at the franchise, what's good for the franchise, and that is something that has to be looked at, because right now they're setting themselves up to be bad for a long time if they don't start making some drastic changes.
Exactly. And you will know, say the one team that did this phase for a little bit, and even though they're still fairly young, have a bright outlook on the future, Boston Celtics. Back in 2008,
exactly.
The big three. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, KG. I believe Ray Allen's out the league. Paul Pierce is with the Wizards, and KG is probably going to retire with the Timberwolves. But you look at them, they made it to the Eastern Conference, to the first round. Granted, they got swept by the Cavaliers, but they actually played the Cavaliers. They played the Cavaliers a lot better than a lot of people were thinking they were. They thought it was like, oh, the Cavaliers are going to come out and blow them out by 20, each game. Like, no, they played really well. You got Marcus Smart, Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, one of the Zeller brothers. You got the veteran presence in Gerald Wallace coming off the bench, Jaren Sullinger, Brandon Bass. Like, you have a lot of depth to that team. You have a lot of good players.
All they need is a star.
Exactly.
They got the role players.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just give them one star and that team will be legit. And, you got people who are willing to dislocate people's shoulders in the game. Kelly Olynyk.
Right, you already got the...
Yeah, whether it was intentional or not. But, that's why I said. So they followed that. I believe they only missed the playoffs the last 2 years, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Something along those lines. So, 2 years after playoffs.
They swallowed it for a couple of years, but if they didn't do that, they'd be really in bad shape. And they started the process early, and they got rid of the face of the franchise of Paul Pierce early, because they knew that they weren't going to win a title.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying that the Mavericks have to do the same thing and trade and get rid of Dirk, because I feel like that would still be foolish, because Dirk is still a very integral part of this team. I would just say, like you said, have him come off the bench as a sixth man, maybe sign somebody in free agent, draft somebody that can study under Dirk for his last year or two in the league, and just rebuild like that. But it's this whole, signing 9 to 10 players every season, that's not going to work. You're just going to get journeymen who come through here, play for maybe a year and two, and then leave. It's like, besides Dirk, you can't really name anybody who's been on the Mavericks longer than 2 or 3 years in the past 5 years.
Yeah. This team, can't say J.J. Barea because he went to Minnesota for
after
the last couple of years.
Yeah. Tyson Chandler left, went to the Knicks in the trade. So Devin Harris left.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devin Harris left, So this team has a lot of instability. As we know, the teams that are at top, all of them, the Spurs, the Warriors, even the Cavaliers before LeBron got there did have continuity and have chemistry, and they have to really start looking at that. You've got to have that. This is something that the Mavs have got to do. You cannot just put a team together and think, oh, we're just going to have a magical season and go and make a run for the title. That just doesn't. And for the love of God, Rick Carlisle, please start playing young players, because that's one thing about him I do not like. He has to start playing young players, because the only way they're going to learn is by playing. Not by playing, looking at film and all that. They have to learn from their mistakes. Because if you look back when Tony Parker was 19 and came in the league, what did Greg Popovich do? He played them. And he played through the mistakes. And look how many titles later they are because of, Greg Popovich and the Spurs, playing young guys like him.
Exactly. And look at prime example, like, our favorite player, Al-Farouq Aminu. He's only 24 years old. He came in, I believe he was drafted by, the Clippers, and then he got traded to the Hornets. And, he was pretty much an afterthought there. And, now look at him. They've let him play, and he's become an integral part of the team in this series. So yeah, like I said, they just got to start playing their young players. I mean, they've literally had plenty of young players who had the talent.
Oh yes.
They just never let them play. Like, Roddy B, what's that dude's name, that shooting guard, Jared Cunningham.
Oh man.
Yeah, people like that. Like, they've had a lot of people on the team that's went elsewhere and either had decent success or very good success. I'm still angry that we did not let Gerald Green hit the floor here when he was here. I'm so angry about that, because Gerald Green, in my opinion, is one of my favorite NBA players ever. Like, that dude is just
as athletic as he is.
Yeah, as athletic as he is. Just imagine having him.
No, they're athletic players. Yes, because they know they just have guys who stay in one spot.
Yeah, they can't get off the floor that much anymore.
Play horse.
Yeah, like just imagine if you had Gerald Green, JJ Barea, Chandler Parson running the fast break with Tyson Chandler. It's like and Al-Farouq Aminu at the 4 for kind of a small athletic lineup. That would have been. And now look at him. He's having.
We gave him something.
Exactly. Now look at him. He's having career years in Phoenix now. So.
Yeah, they really let a lot of players go through here and not work with these guys and let them, work through their mistakes, because you have to have patience. Mm-hmm. And that's something that the Mavs seem like to have. They seem to be, Rick Carlisle's quick to put a player on the bench. Yeah. And, when you play young players, normally you get rewarded. Normally, because once they get it, it's all uphill. Because look at the Golden State Warriors 2 years ago, they were up and down and all that, but now that they've got, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Harrison Barnes, Draymond, once those guys got it, now the sky's the limit. They've won, 67 games, and they're just out here just blowing teams out. So you've got to go through the bad years in order to get the fruits of the labor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you look at it on the Golden State Warriors, I want to say the only person I can think of that's like in the rotation that they did not draft was David Lee, Leandro Barbosa, and I think that's it. Andrew Bogut. Yeah, I think that's it. They drafted Curry, drafted Thompson, drafted Barnes, drafted Draymond Green. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. They like I said, they worked through the draft. These are not guys that, will come through free agency. So you have to have a general manager who's willing to put in that extra work to find these guys. Because Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, these were not guys that were expected to be where they are. Mm-hmm. But because they did their research and really did the extra work, hey, they got rewarded.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're looking at, who would ever thought, 5 years ago, you look at the Golden State Warriors making a title run.
Yeah, exactly. I know I didn't, but
no.
Yeah, they're
you would have been put in the crazy house if you did 5 years ago.
Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it, guys. Just to sum it up, like we said, the Mavs had a great season. It's a shame that it came to an end so sudden, in the first round. I was hoping maybe they get to the second round, maybe the conference finals, but sometimes the cards don't go your way. But hopefully they can just, rebuild the right way and have a plan in place so that the next couple of seasons or in the future, once Dirk leaves, that they won't totally just be bottom of the barrel, 76ers winning like 19, 21 games a season or something like that. Because if you were a fan of the Mavs in the early to mid 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's no need for us to go back through during those days again, because those were just dark times to be a basketball fan in Dallas. But you got any closing statements before we get out of here, Bryan?
Oh, yeah, I just, hope that the Mavs, really try this offseason to actually do something that's not just a Hail Mary, and that Donnie Nelson does actually, find out what the NBA draft is and, be productive in that. And, hopefully, I want to hear from the fans out there, Dallas Mavericks fans, what do you think they need to do this offseason? Also, what do they think about the series overall with the Mavs with the Rockets? And, just want to hear their whole, feelings on the whole situation, regarding the Mavericks going to the next season.
Okay, yeah, very well put, very well put. Well, like I said, I want to thank y'all for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Like Bryan said, let us know what you thought of the series, what you think the Mavericks have to do going forward to better the team and be set up for success in the future. Also, if you're a Houston hater like I am, how dirty you think James Harden's beard is, because I honestly don't think he's washed it in weeks or since like the last couple of months of the season. But that's neither here nor there. I want to thank y'all for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm Mike Titan. That's Bryan Greer. We're out of here. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.